Did you know that the global geopolitics will be defined by the evident rise of non-Western countries? And in that scheme, Dubai, as well as the whole Middle East, will play a very pivotal role. In fact, what will happen is something like this. Some of you might remember what were the Silk Roads of the past. Those were the ancient roads that were kind of trade roads all the way from west, from Europe over to China and everything in between. They were the roads that were using mercenaries, traders of all kinds, armies, and just ordinary people. Today, the situation is as follows. We are building, or not we, actually the Chinese are building what is called the New Silk Roads. New Silk Roads are the type of communication, infrastructure, and collaboration systems that will build a new kind of a community within the sphere of non-Western societies. We know from the past that Europe, in a way, did a miracle after the Second World War, the devastation that came with this terrible war. And as an outcome of that war became a strong idea that never again, let's build a community and let's build it on collaboration, economic, social, cultural, technological, and just between human beings. And this is exactly how the modern Europe emanated. And were able to use the strength of its true capital, which is diversity, but also a certain harmony in terms of the values that these different countries and the people there are adhering to, that they believe in. I believe strongly that the same development in the future will happen in the East and in the South. Now, currently, we're still seeing that there is a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to the Asia, when it comes to the countries and their differences such as Russia, China, India, Indonesia. But at the same time, interestingly, during the last 10 years, there has been a signs, actually a very strong signs of collaboration as well. Now, if we come back to the Dubai, where I'm now, it is very interesting that Dubai itself started to form its identity after United Arab Emirates got its independence in the early 1970s. And later in that decade, Dubai took a very strong strategic orientation towards building itself to be in the position of a global hub of trade, of transportation, and then of business and tourism. And all of that more or less happened, and that's a kind of a miracle in the scheme of the Middle East. Now, the success story of the Dubai is completely built on the fact that there is a strong collaboration between them and the countries near them, other Arabic countries like Lebanon, like Egypt, like Iraq, and so forth. There is also a very strong connection between India, Pakistan, Philippines, but also some Eurasian countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and so forth. So there is a strong connection, kind of a network that has been built. And that is a representation of some of the potential that this era of the New Silk Roads may represent. Of course, we know that China has a very, very strong role in all of this, particularly because it so happened that the rise of the China, when it started in a real way after Mao, and they realized that they had to modernize their country in order to be something that they had been long time ago. In fact, 300 years ago, but what they have lost ever since. because they have had too much of the internal struggles. They want to gear back themselves to be a part of the global community, which they traditionally were, but they were kind of left out of that, out of their own will, because they went more into this kind of internal pattern of weakening themselves and the power struggles and all of that. China, in modern China times, they have been rising in an incredible speed to the position where they seriously currently are rivaling with United States. Now, what is the China's idea there is that they want to use not only their strength, but they want to also to build a kind of a collaboration network that they now call the New Silk Road, or Road and Belt Initiative, as it is called officially, where the whole idea is actually to tie the countries near and far together with economic and political and cultural ties. Now, this doesn't sound very different to what was done in the Europe after the Second World War. So we have seen this already happening, in fact. Now we are seeing it happening again, but very different way. Yet there is the same pattern, only because of the collaboration, building the potential of working towards the same direction, that this area can be more than just another region of the world or another continent of the world. Now, for the Dubai, this means a lot, because Dubai wants to be a pioneer and an example of the Middle East country that has been successfully extended itself over its very limited borders. And indeed it has done so by being able to assimilate a huge amount of different cultures, different peoples, investments, all of that here. But also showing that, in a way, that the old Arab culture, which was always based on idea of the tribal community, but also on trade, is still a very much working concept. It's still something that can actually glue different communities, countries, civilizations together. The way Dubai has done it is truly an example also for other Middle East countries, which most of them have a lot of internal struggles that has fallen into the trap of conflicts, sometimes caused by external parties, sometimes caused by internal struggles. And then there is something which is called the clash of the different Arabic cultures, which is what we see when we see Sunnis and Shias not building the same idea of the community, being hostile to each other and so forth. This is the type of the world that is a reflection of the past but does not represent the future. There is a possibility, and the possibility is something like this. It is very much inevitable that the future is with the non-West. The future is with the rise of Asia, Eurasia, and the Middle East. But it can only be built on the premise that they stop their internal conflicts. They see how much more collaboration can bring us, and not the wars and the conflicts which this region has been crippled with in the past. But when they get over that, as did Europe after the Second World War, they're gonna have a decisive part of the global future, and they will define the global geopolitics in the future. What do you think about this possibility of having non-Western hegemony in the future in the global geopolitics? Let me know your ideas.